And away we go. It is another episode of the Holy Grail BCJ podcast right here on BearcatJournal.com. Make sure, as always, you're getting down to the Holy Grail, watching the Bearcats, getting some buckets of beer. Thanks to everybody that headed down there. I don't think they needed our help much over the past couple weeks. I think they were right on their own.
Probably didn't need to spend a lot of marketing dollars.
But thanks to everybody that did head down there and catch the Bengals run and enjoy everything that was happening in the city down at the banks, and especially with our partners at the Holy Grail. Let's get it going. I'm Chad Brendel, fresh off I'm sure fun but disappointing trip to Los Angeles. He is Dave Simone. Got back to Cincinnati yesterday, on the podcast today. Hi, Dave. Welcome in.
Hello.
How you doing?
Still a little tired. Yesterday was a long day, but doing pretty good.
That journey home is always a lot worse than the journey there.
Well, we had the 6 a.m. flight.
Yeah.
So that meant up at shade before 3.
Oh.
But, flying Delta, had 4 flights in total, all early.
There you go.
No luggage issues, no airport issues. So all in all, and I'm sure we'll get into many different aspects of my trip, but it was a really good time until about 2 minutes to go in the game. What are you going to do?
It is what it is. We'll save the Bengals stuff for the end of the show, like always, so the people that don't want to hear it don't have to listen. I guess we'll get started with basketball. Did you get a chance to watch?
I did get a chance to watch some. After being gone for however long it was, wanted to hang out with the fam as much as I could, and bath time and bedtime gets in the way. But I did get to watch some, and Memphis is playing pretty well right now, and they're just a different class of athlete right now than the Bearcats. I don't think that's, being derogatory. I just think that is what it is. I mean, you put the game on, and they just got a little bit different juice than we do.
Well, it's where it stands out so much outside of Tyler Harris and Alex Lomax. They're so long and they're so athletic, and they've got 9-10 guys that they can just run at you in waves. And it looks like they're finally, for whatever reason, coming together. It probably would have been really nice to play them back when the ice storm happened, as opposed to playing them now.
They've come together when their superstar freshman has been absent.
No, it's not weird. But I will also say that there's a bigger difference. Everybody looks at Amani Bates. And rightfully so, I get why. But really, the difference in these past 6 games is DeAndre Williams being back.
Right. I mean, I was being
I know. But I'm just saying there is actually something that changed that everybody looks at Amani. And I'm sure it probably would have been more of a problem when Williams came back, because then because where's Amani's minutes going to come from in that scenario? But once they got DeAndre Williams back and they kind of started to hit their stride, like you can just see they're playing with a crap ton more confidence. They're playing with a lot more purpose. They seem to have finally like you can tell what they're trying to do instead of just running around and being crazy athletic. Like they look like they're trying to accomplish something on their offensive sets rather than just kind of waiting for somebody to make a play.
Yeah, I'm sure too. Like roles are much more defined now.
Yeah,
and just not that guys were looking over their shoulders, but like when Amani was, and it's probably unfair to like cast a ton of blame on him, but they just seem to be more connected, more organized, more everything. Obviously, they're on a 6-game win streak, and most of those games haven't exactly been close. So you see, just ran into what I think is pretty fair to say currently the second, maybe best team in the conference right now.
Yeah, maybe the best. I would right now. Like they look better than Houston looks at the moment. But you know what's crazy when I watch them? I'd give a couple fingers for Josh Minot.
Yeah, just one of those he's a freshman too, isn't he?
True freshman. He was number 45 in the country.
But in their class, like the totally unheralded guy.
Right.
And just has kind of been like a little bit of the do-all, almost glue guy that they've been able to count on almost night in, night out, which you usually can't do with a freshman at almost any level. Like even the top guys are going to have freshman nights, and he's been pretty consistent all year once his minutes were established.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you're not expecting him to be your top one or two guys. Now, there's been nights that he has been, but he's almost always their third guy, like 10, 12 points, 6, 7 rebounds.
Right.
Doesn't do anything stupid.
That's about as more valuable as you can get 30 in a game, but don't give me 2. Like if you're a coach and you know what this guy's going to pretty much give me on a night in, night out basis, how much, and being a freshman, how much does that ease your mind with the rest of the roster?
Yeah. And now you've got Tyler Harris kind of fitting into his role. Alex Lomax, who I've always had a bit of a man crush on Alex Lomax because I think the kid just knows how to win. So they've got now 2 lead guards that are totally different players, but can help in a lot of ways. But you have to say, and there's the look at last night. Look at Minot. 15 minutes, 10 points, 5 of 6 from the floor, 6 rebounds, 2 blocks, 2 steals. 15 minutes.
That is,
and it's like every night.
An efficient game.
That's what you're looking when you're shopping in that 50 to 100 type range, which is I think where this staff is going to be shopping a lot as things head to the Big 12. You're looking for Josh Minot. That's the epitome of this is the type of play hard, understands the game, right, does exactly what we ask, never plays outside of who he is.
Top 75 guy who can come in, contribute, but we know we're going to have 2 or 3, maybe 4 years to develop him, and if he sticks around long enough, can be that guy.
Right. He knows coming in, there's going to be some guys ahead of me. That's okay.
Mm-hmm. And he's cool with that because he knows his role, and he knows he's still going to get minutes because he's good, but you feel comfortable in the fact that I'm going to have this guy for a couple more years, and he can be a major piece to build around.
Yeah, and then you get Quinones, you get Nolly, you get Harris that we talked about. Those are their veteran guys, all of them in double digits. Jalen Duren, he's just a monster. And he gets you 13 points in 19 minutes. And then Lomax gets you 9 assists. Every piece there is now, like you said, accepting and understanding their role and becoming better at their role and, starting to really come together as a team. And this is year 4. If you look at it, there's a couple of these guys that have been there since year 1, year 2 with Penny. This is not a young team anymore. They have a couple young pieces, but Nolly, Quinones, Williams, Lomax, Harris, Dandridge, those are all dudes that have been in college basketball for a long, long time. And it's finally coming together. You have to be happy with the fight they showed in the second half, though, right? They got their ass kicked from the jump.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't a good start. That's for sure.
Cincinnati shot 21% from, or 20 something percent from the floor. I forget what the final number was. 10% from three, 26% from the floor, 10% from three. They turned it over 7 times in the first half. It would have been real easy at halftime to just be like, not tonight. Lick our wounds and get ready. Quick turnaround. We're going to go ahead and hit cruise control and get ready for Wichita State on Thursday.
Yeah. But, I mean, again, I don't know. This team's just so inconsistent. I mean, they're consistently inconsistent that, I don't know. It's not like you can take that second half effort and really expect it to translate.
I think you can at times. Like it's a glimpse of how well they can play.
But I mean, you can't look at that and go, "Oh, they turned the corner." That's what we should expect. No,
but no, that's not what I was saying.
It's there, but it's been there all year. It's just they've been consistently inconsistent. Just win, loss, or win, loss. I mean, it's just kind of how they've been for the last couple months, really.
Yeah, and we talked about this a little on the nightcap, I think last night. It's a team that they're, because of the roster and needing an upgrade in talent. Somebody said to me earlier today, the big problem is, and it's not far off, right? But the problem is everybody needs to be one step down. Like if David DeJulius was your number 2 option, and Jeremiah Davenport was your number 3 guy, that teams kind of, they have to shut down 1 and 2, and then Jeremiah gets a little bit more space and a little bit more time to get a shot off. And then all of a sudden, Mike Adams-Woods and John Newman, those guys are your 4th, 5th option. You go to your bench. Everything fits a lot better. But
if DeJulius,
like if you put Jared Cumberland on this team, hypothetically,
if DeJulius was in Troy Copayne's role,
yeah, I don't even think it needs to be that. Like Troy, those guys weren't ready yet, really, at that point in time. Jake and Gary, like they were getting there, but Troy was still kind of the number 1 option all the way. He struggled his senior year some, but at least sophomore, junior year. Yeah,
but I just mean like. You had more guys around you.
Yeah, I'm saying though, like still Troy was still considered the number 1 guy.
Yeah.
I'm talking about if there was a Jaren.
Yeah.
If there's a Jaren ahead of at the top of this roster, and now DeJulius can slide down, and Davenport can slide down, and Adams-Woods and Newman can slide down a spot.
Yeah,
then all of a sudden things start to fit a little bit better. There's a lot more continuity in what you're trying to do. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. Hi, Ed. Sorry, I didn't get to you. Hi. Just love you, Ed. They're just, I don't think they're insanely far off. But I also don't think they're super close. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, the parts are just kind of cobbled together a little bit, and they don't exactly fit right. And you've got some good players. No, I don't think I'm out of my mind saying like no great players. And
I think David has entered very good status with what we've seen over the past 2-3 weeks. But is he conference player of the year quality?
Against good teams, the opponents can just go, yeah, we'll just play him straight up. And if he gets 20 to 25, okay, whatever. But we just know that none of the other guys are going to get 18 and make it a problem for us.
Or they do what Memphis did in the first half, which is double him basically everywhere he went, or deny and pressure everywhere he went, took him out of the game in the first half, and they're down by 17 at halftime.
Yeah, you just make him give the ball up.
Yeah. He didn't he got it and wanted to go. And Memphis was like, where are you going? We got 2 6'7" guys with 7-foot wingspans standing here. Where do you think you're going? Where are you going to possibly go? So that, I mean, more really annoyed and upset about the Tulsa loss. Because I think that was.
I mean, that's kind of the thing, though, right? Like, for all of the stuff we just said, like, and granted, you have to look at it that way because that's the way this team is. But you just kind of look back and go, man, don't lose that Temple and don't lose that Tulsa, and you just feel totally different.
Yeah.
Even though we know this isn't a tournament team, it's not something like that. Flip those two games, and you just have a much different mindset about this year's team. Because I don't think this year's team is a huge reflection towards next year's team. I think it's kind of a one-off, being that it's a first year, and we know there's going to be some two, obviously 3, high school additions, and then we feel pretty comfortable saying they're going to be hitting the portal because everybody hits the portal. So it's going to look different again. But yeah, you just take those 2 games and you're just like, man, if you could have just had those, it just, the vibe is totally different.
Go ahead.
No, because you just feel like you're not so up and down.
Right. And
you can stomach losing to Houston. You can stomach losing to Memphis. If those other losses in between there don't happen.
Right.
But then you're like, well, we're not beating the good teams, and we're also not beating the bad teams. So it's just like from night to night, you just don't know what you're getting.
But then you are beating SMU and you are beating Wichita State, and it's like each night is a complete coin flip. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, they're consistently inconsistent. Like, you go on the road and you beat Wichita State, and then you go on the road and you can't beat Tulsa or Temple.
I still hate staying on the road. They stayed on the road from South Florida to Tulsa. I don't like the 4 days.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan. I get why they did it. I do think what factored into it was, let's spend a day in Florida. Like, just get away,
bro, for sure.
Get some time together as a team. Like,
yeah.
But it always feels like that second game when you stay out on the road, you don't get the same team that you normally get, which that goes back a while. Like that goes back a while. We should be better next year. I agree. And
we still need to see the pieces. I mean, if DeJulius doesn't come back, I'm not sure that's accurate.
Well, I mean, then you got to get. You have to go get a dude. Right, in the portal.
Hopefully, I would love to have him back. Hopefully, it doesn't come to that. But tell me who that dude is, and then I'll tell you if they're going to be better next year.
Right. That's the problem with the portal. Is like, give me the question. It's like Jeopardy. You need the question first.
We talked about it.
You need the answer first, and then the question.
We talked about it in the past. How many 7 out of 10 times are not going to deliver what you expect.
Right. I like it. People brought up in talking about the portal when we talked about this last week. People brought up Jack Nunge. Okay, well, Jack Nunge was often injured at Iowa and played behind the National Player of the Year. So, let me pull up Jack Nunge's stats. Where's points? I'm looking at the wrong line. Points. Freshman, 5.7. Sophomore, 6.0. Junior, 7.1. Rebounds, 3 a game, 4.5 a game, 5 a game. 3-point percentage, 30%, 21%, 29%. Field goal percentage for a 7-footer, 44%, 36%, 45%. Those were all his numbers coming into Xavier. And he missed, his sophomore year, he missed almost the whole season. He only played 5 games. He never played over 18 minutes a game. What do you think our fan base's reaction would have been if Jack Nungy had committed to UC in the portal?
Well, mine would have been, that's nice. He's just another dude.
Yeah, I'm not impressed.
I shouldn't say, to me, dudes are dudes. I would say he's a guy.
Yeah. He'll be a rotational guy. Like, okay. They needed a big guy. They went out and got a 7-footer that was at Iowa. Like, but there's nothing about those numbers that gave any indication that he was going to be 13 points, 7 rebounds, shoot 54% from the floor, 35% from 3. Like, and a lot of the season, a lot of the games, he's been their best player.
Well,
so yeah, if there's a secret code to go figure out who the next Jack Nungy is, please share.
Here's a funny one for you. Since you brought him up, tonight he's got 20 and 6.
And they're about to lose to St. John's.
And they're getting their doors blown off at home to St. John's.
Yeah. So, like, yes, everyone would. Is my family doing better? Yes, Kelly is doing great right now. She's got clinical trial tomorrow. Her first one was last week. She's doing really good. Thank you for asking. But that's the problem with the portal, Dave. There was nothing about Jack Nungy that said, "Damn, that's an awesome get for Xavier."
Well, because
like,
if you knew that was what was going to be happening, he wouldn't be at Xavier.
Yeah, he'd be at Kansas or Duke or North Carolina. Like, but they got it right. And that's the point being, that's the crapshoot of the portal.
Right. It's I'm not going to call it a guessing game, but you have no idea either when you add a piece in the portal, you have no idea how that guy's going to react in one of two ways. A, he's coming from a similar level school, but his expected minutes are going way up.
Yeah.
You don't know what that means. Or B, they're coming up, and what he did might be impressive, but you have no idea if that's what level that is going to translate to.
Exactly.
So it's, you just
you don't know. You literally don't know. You have no clue.
Playing with all new guys, playing against all new guys after you've been in his case, 3-year college player.
And turning into, he's probably going to end up being second team All Big East, something along those lines. Like, great job by Xavier to scout and hit on the guy. But I just don't, like I said, I think if you would have proposed UC fans with Jack Nungy last offseason,
could definitely not hear you right now.
Chad, you need to switch your audio over. You didn't switch.
I thought I did.
No.
I did. It just didn't take.
You're just fading to dark.
That's my bad.
It's the solo show with David Simone. But yeah, I mean, 6 games left. 3 at home, 3 on the road. A pretty tough final little run because of the rescheduled games.
I mean, really, the only one you're not overly worried about, I guess, would be South Florida at home.
Right.
Should be Temple, but Temple is getting back to being Temple in that their defense is good enough and Cincinnati's offense is shaky enough
to make it a problem
that you could be looking at another one of those. It's 56-53 with at the under forced timeout, and we'll see what happens. And then UCF on the road with the problems we've seen this team have on the road. You can't feel overly comfortable about that, right?
I mean, no, you've dropped games to two of the worst teams in the conference on the road.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I feel like any road win the rest of the way would be a surprise.
Well,
is
the
that
3 road games left the rest of the way are at UCF, at Memphis, at SMU.
right? So, like, I mean, I'd be pretty surprised if they won any of those.
I'm with you on that. And they're going to get SMU on SMU's senior night and pissed off as all hell that Cincinnati killed them here.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's just a game where SMU can't afford a loss if they want to
they're
try
going
to
to be
get
trying to get into the tournament. They're on the
Right.
bubble now.
Yeah.
Gotta love Houston for the
Doing the the
Yeah.
league is solid, starting to lose a couple games.
we need you to drop these 2 to SMU and Memphis so SMU and Memphis can maybe get us a couple extra tournament credits on the way out the door.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean,
yeah.
if they go 3-3, I think that's
Yeah, and that gets you to 19 going into the AAC tournament, which was right where I said, 19 wins, 17 to 19 wins. They're at 16. We adjusted up a little bit after Illinois, and then we recorrected again a couple weeks later. I think we were right from the start, clearly, that 18, 19 win range. If they can go 3-3 the rest of the way, tomorrow night's an important one in that.
If they go 3-3 and win a game in the conference tournament, I'll be totally fine with the season.
That's 20.
I would be fine with that.
Yeah.
If they go less than 3-3 in the rest of the way, that means they drop something at home that they probably shouldn't have. And then if they don't win a game, I'll kind of look at it as a flame out second half of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think somebody brought up a good point. With a new coach, you always have that, I don't want to say element of surprise, but the first time you see a new coach, especially if they've got a decent roster, and I know everybody's up in arms. This is not a terrible roster. Is it a great roster? Is it a top of the conference roster? No. Is it a bottom of the conference roster? Also, no. You know what it is? It's a middle of the conference roster. Where are they placed right now, Dave?
It's fine.
They're in the middle of the conference.
And that's part of the reason that it's like, you either need to be really good or really bad.
Yeah, but that doesn't work in college basketball.
No.
Being really bad gets you nothing.
No. It's not like you can
you're not getting
draft picks.
You don't get to land a 5-star recruit because you finished last.
That'd be funny if you could.
Right? Like, all right, here's the last team in the top 7 conferences. You guys get the first 7 recruits this year.
Yeah.
But it's a middle of the conference roster. That's the cold hard truth about it. And it's not what people want to hear, because people want it, it's one of two things. Either it's a win the conference roster or everybody has to go.
Well, I think it's just part of the issue with some I figure is that you look around the conference and you're like, none of these other teams are that good. Why? We know we're not. This is a not.
So here's the problem with that now. So you're trending towards 3 teams potentially getting in if they handle their business down the stretch.
That would still be stunning to me.
I mean, they're both right there. First 4 in, last 4 out. That's where they're both. SMU and Memphis are both at.
But then don't they have to play each other again still or something? Who knows?
I don't know if they have to play each other again. But my point being, the problem is now the middle of the conference has improved. but only to the point that all of them are about the same. So there's not a lot of separation it used to be like there were pretty clear tiers in this conference. Like, these are the 3 best teams. They're probably going to make the tournament.
Yeah,
these are the next 3
and everybody
teams.
else stunk.
Yeah, like, and then it was a huge drop off to like the bottom 5 or 6 of the conference. Now it's more like, this is the best team. These 2, Memphis and SMU, are a little bit better than everybody else. And then there's like 4 or 5 teams that are all just kind of in that same lump of, they got a couple guys, they don't have enough, but they have, enough players that on any given night they can play well and give you problems. And that's the unfortunate part for Cincinnati. In the old days of the American, there would have been 5 or 6 teams that would have been easy to just beat the hell up on to get the 10, 12 conference wins.
Right.
And that's not really where it's at right now. So, but it's a middle of the conference roster. Like, and I know why people are scared, because we're probably going to be playing in the Big 12 in after the next season. So they look at it and say, look, if we got a middle of the American roster, which they over exaggerate to, I've seen it's a Horizon League roster, it's a MAC roster. These teams would destroy both of those leagues.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I think the scary part is just how much
work needs to be done. Yeah.
Well, how much? And Michael asked, "Do you guys know when we're going to the Big 12?" No, we don't know.
But if we had to guess, it'll be 2023.
It would be July 1st, 2023 would be the official date that they would be in the Big 12.
That would be my guess as well.
So the question becomes, can you do what you need to do to this roster before October 2023?
And with the transfer portal and with the recruiting bump you should get from going into the Big 12, you should feel confident that they will have a Big 12 level roster
to where you're at least competitive on most nights against most teams.
And the reality is still that they'll probably start that first year at the bottom of the Big 12.
Well, sure. Well, I mean, like, realistically, like, just as high as we are on football moving into the Big 12 and continuing what they've done, it's because they've had 4 years now of sustained high level success.
Right.
And they'll be going into the Big 12 with what we hope to have been another year of high level success, high level recruiting. Basketball will be going to the Big 12 with at most 1 year of higher level success, higher level recruiting.
Yes. And
going into a much tougher, far tougher top to bottom basketball conference.
Right. It's funny you mentioned the 4 years of sustained success, where the basketball has been 4 years of being turned upside down over and over again. Like, that's hard to maintain. That's hard to survive.
Well, sure.
It's hard to work through.
We look at all the football teams that we play week in and week out. They basically go through the same thing.
Right.
There's a reason we have such an advantage. It's because it's a machine now. It's not tons of new coaches, massive transfer portals, new head coach, different philosophy. It's, they're polar opposites of each other right now. Football and basketball, in the infrastructure, in just the continuity, in all of those things, they're polar opposites.
Do you see any parallels between Luke's first year and Wes's first year?
No, because Luke's first year is way worse than this.
True. Very true.
Like, and Luke says it, and I think our diehards know, like, they should have won one game.
Yeah, they should have won 1-11.
You know, so no, I mean, this situation was in much better shape than that was.
And what was the belief at the end of that season? Everybody's got to transfer. This whole roster stinks. Nobody's good enough. And what did they do? They took some of those returning guys, and they developed them, and they inserted some of, that 2017 class that ended up changing the program. Say what you will, that class was the class that changed the program. Derek Forrest, Kobe Bryant.
I mean, I guess that's the thing you hope for basketball is
right.
You get an influx of natural talent in Daniel Skillings, Josh Reed, coupled with, I won't even say transfer portal because who the hell knows what that's going to be, but coupled with skill improvement, like we saw in football from the returning guys, in some of the pieces that come back and that they can, contribute on a higher level. And then, next year you're battling for that upper tier in the conference. You're kind of that Memphis SMU where we're kind of on the bubble. We need some good wins. Can't drop any bad losses. Right. That's what I want to see next year. Like that, I think that's a realistic expectation, is to be in the mix to make the tournament as an at-large team.
Yeah, and that doesn't necessarily mean make it or bust, but it means
no. I want to, like, this time next year with 6 games to go, I want to look at the schedule and go, if we win this game, and don't lose to this crappy team on Selection Sunday, we will be nervous on whether we get in or not.
And if you beat Tulsa and Temple, like you said, or Tulsa and Tulane at the start of the conference season, and you do a better job against Monmouth, who you had no business losing to, like all of a sudden you're talking about a 19-win team already that's 19-6,
right?
And has a win over Illinois and a win over SMU, and you're probably talking about them in that light.
Yeah, because you're a fringe team because you don't really have the wins to put yourself in the tournament right now,
right?
But you have the ability to put yourself there because you're still playing SMU again, you're still playing Houston again, and you have the conference tournament. As long as you don't drop any like really, really bad games, that's where I want to be next year. I want to see what the freshmen can provide, who grows, and then at this point next year, 6 games left, are we in the mix? Like if we do what we're supposed to do or what we think we're capable of doing on Selection Sunday, maybe we don't even feel confident, but you're at least like, it could go our way. And if we don't get in, hey, we don't get in. But like, get us to the point.
But we're looking at bracket matrix,
right? Get us to the point where we're nervous on Selection Sunday.
Do you guys expect some players entering the transfer portal? Yes, it's college basketball. Like, do I think there's going to be a lot? Do I think it's going to be a mass exodus? No. It might be 1. It might be 2. I don't expect a large number there, but
I think anytime you have it's college basketball, but anytime you have a first-year coach as well, like somebody is not going to want to come back. Like,
right.
I'm not saying who it is. I don't know. But like, it'd be totally, not unrealistic, but just totally against the grain, so to speak, of college basketball for a new coach to come in and have a, we'll just say, it's a pretty average year. And
yeah, I think this is the epitome of average.
And everybody come back like that.
Right.
I would be pretty surprised if that happened.
Yeah. Do I know who? No. Will we know who until it happens? Probably not. But it'll be what normally happens. Like, I know patience is very difficult for fans because you want to know everything right now.
Well, but let's be real, man. We've been really damn good for a long time.
Of course.
Nobody.
And people,
I don't blame anybody that isn't patient. Like
I don't either. But what I'm saying is, we don't. I'm talking about like who's going to be in the port. Until those conversations happen, nobody
right.
knows.
I mean, you don't know. I mean, that's not going to happen. Just like with the guys going pro or coming back, that's not in football. That's not discussed until the season's over.
Right.
So I mean, I don't know. I mean,
do I think they'll have a scholarship or two to play with when it's all said and done? Yeah, I think they probably will. One will definitely be for a big man. But you would like probably another 6'7" wing type player that can score.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's going to be one of the freshmen or if it's going to be a transfer, but like we talked about him already. Like, give me a Josh Minot. Like give me somebody that but I mean, just like that I know every night, regardless, not every night because we know that's probably unrealistic, but 75-80% of the games, I know I'm getting 8 to 10 and 5 to 7 every time.
Yeah.
I mean, how different is this team if there was a guy outside of David and Jeremiah that we knew every night was going to score 8 to 12 points and grab 5 to 7 rebounds?
Look how much like their best stretch of the season outside of the trip to Kansas City. Their best stretch of the season when they beat Wichita, when they beat SMU, John Newman was doing that. John Newman was giving them 8, 10, 12 points.
Even the Memphis loss.
Yeah, that made things all of a sudden look drastically different. And then he had the knee, like the scare with the knee, and he hasn't been the same guy. Like, that's...
Even the best teams.
That's how thin the line is.
Well,
you have to have 3 or 4 guys.
Even the best teams aren't beating good teams with 2 guys.
Right. It's not how it works.
The best teams obviously have a bunch of 5 stars and they have a bunch, but like even the best teams can't win games if only 2 of their guys show up.
Right. It's got to be a 3 or 4 man deal. And right now they're at 2. Like,
and the one is wild, who the hell knows from night to night, from half to half.
I posted about said something of this nature on the board last night. Like, you wonder why Wes went out and got Daniel Skillings and Josh Reed. Both of them 6'7", 6'6", 6'7", both of them 7-foot wingspan. And then you watch last night. And it gives you a data point as to, oh, that's why. Like, that's it. Now that starts to make sense. Somebody's like, why don't we ever press? And I'm like, who do you feel confident guarding the basketball in the half court now? You want them to guard the basketball 60 feet from the hoop?
And that's just, you want to watch just pregame warm-ups, that'd be the same thing of layup after layup after layup.
Right.
You got bigs that don't move that well, and you got guards that don't guard that well. Like, how are you pressing anybody? And you're not long on the wing. So like what passing lanes are you taking away by pressing?
Why was Memphis able to jump David DeJulius? Because they put 2 6'7" guys with 7-foot wingspans right in his face. And if you looked, he was staring into their chest like this. Ah! Ah!
Yeah, I mean the parts, the parts don't allow.
The parts are what they are, but you're not pressing with
like that.
But if you watch West at UNCG, you know what he wants to do? Press. Definitely wants to press as much as possible. Who's committed to UC basketball? We've mentioned both of the, 2 of the wings. Daniel Skillings, who is a 6'7" shooting guard from Philadelphia. Josh Reed is a 6'7" combo forward from Atlanta. Sage Tolentino, a 7-footer, originally from Hawaii. He plays at Hamilton High School. Do you foresee David DeJulius returning next season? Chuck, I have no fucking clue. No clue. Like, those conversations haven't happened. So, like with John Newman, we know, right? John Newman would be a surprise if he didn't return because he said he came here to play 2 years for Wes Miller. Like, we know that. He told us that.
Right.
David and Julius, we don't know. Like we don't have any idea what his thought process is on does he want to spend a 5th year in college playing basketball? Does he want to go live in a hippie commune in Oregon? Like we have no clue. Like what, maybe he wants to work on a show cruise in the Caribbean.
Maybe
Sounds like
he just doesn't like school and is like, I'm done.
Right. Like those
That's
conversations.
That one is always my favorite. It's like, why wouldn't that guy come back? Well, maybe he doesn't like to go to class.
Right. Maybe
As someone who didn't love to go to class for much of his college career, I can tell you, like, not everybody wants to just keep doing the class and the lifting and the workouts and the travel
without being paid.
And they've had enough.
And if they want to pursue a professional career, like you're 24 years old, it's time to go get paid. Some of them
for something.
Some of them are like Garrett Campbell, and they're like, you know what? I'm going to be a doctor, so I'm going to be in school for 10 years anyway. I might as well get a couple of years paid because his first couple of years were a walk-on. Then he moved on to scholarship. Shit, might as well get that extra year, that 6th year, paid for while I continue on my schooling. Like each situation is different. None of the decisions have even been discussed at this point. So does he? I would be disingenuous if I said one way or the other because I have absolutely no clue.
We'd just be guessing.
Yeah. Do I have T-shirts of UC? Yes, a couple of T-shirts. A couple of them from our recent partners at Home Field Apparel. Go check it out there, Michael. Home Field Apparel. Look up the UC collection. It's very good. I don't have a ton more on basketball. Do you?
No, we've gone like 45 minutes on it. This is like heaven, like breaking out in hives.
Football's Dave.
I know.
Football's over. Well,
football is
2.5 weeks.
Football
for
is
2.5 weeks. Football is over. 2.5 weeks, and then it's back. Are you going to be there with me
on
March
the weekends?
5th?
No, not during. What, like the first day?
Yeah.
Well, when's the first day?
March 5th.
Oh, that's a Saturday, maybe.
Yeah, it's a Saturday.
Yeah.
And then I think Saturdays. Saturday. It's going to be every Saturday.
Are they still under like COVID protocols and whatnot?
It depends on the university.
Well, I mean, like, is UC?
They were, and then it's kind of it's letting off a little bit now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That first week will probably, the way it's generally worked, that first week is in the bubble,
right?
And then spring break is when they take down the bubble.
Yeah. So
they go a week, and then they have spring break, and then they come back and do the rest. So once the bubble's down, like,
well, yeah, once that, sure.
Things have been slowing down in their restrictions. So hopefully you'll be allowed to be in there. I will be allowed. We'll be allowed. We'll be fine.
Yeah, I just didn't know, like, if you still had to wear a mask, if you still had to, all those types of things.
We still have to wear them at games.
Because where I was on Sunday, COVID didn't exist inside SoFi Stadium.
Right? Didn't exist at Jerry World either. That was a big surprise.
Well, that was Texas. I mean, there's not all these crazy
sarcasm, Dave.
Right,
sarcasm.
There's still all these mandates out there, and not one person has to see my Vax card, and no one said to anybody put a mask on.
Yeah, that was if you go to California, you can't get in without a Vax card.
Yeah, sure thing.
You can't go anywhere or do anything. Did you have it with you just in case, or?
Well, yeah, you carry it around, but like half the restaurants we went to, they didn't ask to see it. Some of them did. Nobody ever told you to put a mask on.
Yeah.
But
Strange world. All right, let's get to the news of the week, Dave. How about our guy Justin Williams? We talked to him on Monday on the BBP, saving the city. Justin saved the city on Monday as everyone was mourning the Bengals' loss. Justin just happened to be in Luke Fickell's office for an interview. Said, "Is there any progress on that contract?" Luke Fickell goes, "Yeah, the contract's done. What do you want to know? Here you go." And the city rejoiced.
yeah.
Through 2028, 6 years, $5 million a year. Assistant pool bumped up to $5.2 million, which is much more competitive in line with Power 5 football.
No, I'll answer Grant's question real quick. He asked about the salary pool. That covers everybody.
Yeah.
So like Brady, analysts, whoever is on the football support staff is also included in that number.
The 10 on-field assistants and then everybody else, all included in that. So what was your initial reaction? I know this is what we talked about. Like, it's getting done.
My initial reaction is somebody stepped up because I was not expecting it to go to 5.
What were you thinking? 4.5?
Yeah, I mean that's a big percentage boost, and the same with the staff pool. Like
he was at what 3.4 and went to 5.
Yeah,
and the staff pool was at 3.6 and went to 5.2.
5.2, 3.8,
3.8 went to 5.2. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, like we said, we weren't surprised that it happened. I was a little surprised at the number. I mean, $5 million,
$10.2 million for football.
There ain't a whole lot of places around the country paying more for their coach than that.
No, it's right around top 25, right? I mean, we don't know.
And there's a whole lot of places paying their coach more than that haven't done near as much as what he's done.
Right.
So
very true on that. How about the information we got that John Cunningham brought this to him in week 7? Luke said, "I'm not opening that. I'm going to put it in my bag. We'll get to it when the job is done." I think people think that we're lying.
That's very on brand.
I genuinely think people don't believe us when we say, like, he will not deal with this shit during the season. He won't do it. And I think they genuinely think we're lying.
Well, I mean, read the rest of the Q&A, and it's like, during the season, if it doesn't have to do with ball, he doesn't care about it.
At all. And I think that because so many coaches have lied, and you know what I mean? Like, have been caught in those lies, everybody thinks, well, this guy's lying too. And it's like, no, really, that's how his brain just works.
Now, I could see it, in reality, 5-10 minutes one night, he kind of reads through it. But, like, it's not like he read through it.
If anybody read through it, it would, like, he gave it to Amy.
Right, but I mean,
said here.
But what I'm saying is like, it's not like he got home that night and read through it, and Amy read through it, and then 2 weeks later they came back with, okay, we like this, but not this. And there's been this like back and forth over the second half of the season. Like, legitimately, like, didn't.
No, I don't think they looked at it at all. Like, I don't think he looked at it at all. Like, I just think that's who he is. And they even said the season ended and Cunningham had to come remind him, hey, that extension, that 7-figure raise is in your bag. You think we can Think we can get together and hash that out?
Yeah, because after the season is recruiting season.
Right? It looks like we'll talk about the assistants first. We'll make sure that indoor practice facility is fast tracking the way that we want it to. And if all that's good, then yeah, we'll sit down and we'll cross some I's and dot some T's.
Yeah.
What's it tell you about heading into the Big 12, like in their ability to be quote unquote day one ready, as they say?
I mean, I'm never really worried about the football program itself.
Yeah.
I think, and I don't say this in a derogatory way. I think the fan base as a whole is the one that needs to step up and be day one ready. Like being on the fan council and having these discussions and seeing things, and I'm not allowed to get into it, but like as a fan base from a booster donation involvement support standpoint, we ain't day one ready.
Nope.
Now, part of that is it's just getting used to that. Part of that is nobody else in the Big 12 currently structured is in a city like Cincinnati. So, like, imagine if my family, for instance, we go to football, my mom and my aunt go to basketball, my dad goes to Bengals. Like, just imagine if, Baylor football was your thing. You got plenty of extra money to give to Baylor football. That's what you're up against. You got plenty of extra money to give to Kansas basketball. So from a fan perspective, and it's not just like a support as we go to games and we, are big on social media stuff. It's like, it's dollars.
Yeah. Lots of them.
And everybody's going to have to, if you enjoy this winning, you're going to have to find a couple extra nickels in your cigarette, in your ashtray in your car.
Well, but the big problem is the people that make the difference at those places aren't finding nickels in the ashtray.
Sure. Well, I'm just using that.
I know.
Right. But it makes it even more imperative.
Right? Like Luke talked about, like now's the time we need to be going to P&G. And now's the time we need to be hitting up like where the actual money is in this city.
Sure.
Like we did it right. We didn't go beg for money when we didn't have a pot to piss in terms of how good we were. But now we real good. And it's time for the city of Cincinnati to get on board and let's all be real good.
Yep.
The Bengals getting good makes that a little more interesting too. Because
the Bengals getting good, but just go to all the Reds supporters.
Yeah. If you back the Reds, come hang with us.
Why?
Right. What are you doing? And that hurts to say. I'm a Reds guy. Have been my whole life. But have a good night, Michael. Thanks for chiming in. Appreciate you.
But yeah, you'll get the opportunity, as always, to kind of talk to Luke pre-spring practice. But there's now that these things are kind of in motion, I'd love to hear. You're always asking what's next, but like he's been at Ohio State, so he's been at the place that literally has it all.
Right.
So the big shiny new practice facility thing is the North Star, is the attention grabber. But like these big programs, I want to know from him, like, what are the incremental behind the scenes things that we don't even really see that you feel like are needed to kind of keep moving the operation forward?
Right.
Outside of being able to have ex NFL head coaches as analysts
Right.
and stuff like that. Like, what are the things that will put them more on par with the bigger programs? Because there is stuff that goes even deeper than just facilities.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because I think there's a very fine line when you start looking at, like, in Alabama, Georgia, like, what are they spending that is necessary
Sure,
to be great? What are they spending that is just because
they can?
No, here's the thing I don't think people get. They have to. Because
there's things that are necessary. That's, to me, that's like they have to.
Well, let me get to what I mean by they have to. You know what they don't ever do in college athletics?
Right, they have to break even.
Yeah, they don't ever have any, like, there's never money in the black when we get to the end of the fiscal year. Somehow it always either ends up almost canceling out, or we lost money last year. We brought in, $187 million, but our athletic department lost money.
It probably goes to paying down debt on things or to scholarships. I mean, that's what I would think.
Some of it, yeah, but there's also just like they do some frivolous shit.
Because they're not paying for all these new facilities in cash. They're taking out loans, so they're paying the debt down. But
my point being, it would be easier
still paying the damn debt down on the Lender
Center. The Lender Center. Yeah, I know. I'm aware.
I mean, I know we know, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, everybody talks about Big 12 money and building I tell you where the Big 12 money's going. It's going to pay down the debt on that building.
And the next building, and the next building, and now the next building. Exactly. We're 4 buildings in on where there's debt. Or at least will be. But didn't mean to sidetrack there, but you have to find that balance of, this is the stuff that we need, and not just like we have to have this because everybody else has it, even though it doesn't really matter at all. Like, where they've been really lucky,
I think it's like just funny, like, when you talk about that stuff, like, who do you think brings the plans to Nick Saban? Is like, okay, here's where the recording studio is going to go, and here's where the barbershop, because he's going, this is not going to help us be better at football.
Right. But he knows
it's going to help us get better players. But, like, they build the recording studio in how many times do you think those things actually get used?
Very little. I mean, I'm sure there are guys that have that.
But they probably are fearful of, like, coach is going to see me not focusing on football.
Right. But if you're Cincinnati, like, where it does matter, here's where it does matter. You invite a kid to spring practice on March 11th, and that's a windy, 45-degree, cloudy day in Cincinnati. And they got to stand at Shakely Athletic Facility in their hoodie, in their jacket,
or
some gloves on.
Even in the bubble, half the MAC has indoor facilities.
Right. And then
my dad went to Wittenberg in Springfield.
They have an indoor facility.
It's insanely nice.
Yeah.
Like, insanely nice. Weight room, insanely nice. Indoor, insane. Like, that's a D3 school that is good at football, but it's a D3 school.
That's the stuff that matters. That you have to, in recruiting alone, you have to keep up with everybody else. That's why Luke is so adamant about, like, I'm not looking at my contract until I'm certain that this indoor practice facility is happening.
Oh, yeah. Just have something. They're not going to
Yeah.
the recruits they're not going to nitpick who's this is nicer, who's that is nicer.
Right. They're not going home and grading everything. Well, the bathrooms at Michigan were an 8, but
the way they displayed the uniforms at Oregon, I liked more than the way they display them at Georgia.
Right.
Like, no, they're
you just have to be on par. You have to be like on equal footing. It doesn't have to be as good, but it has to exist. And it has to be nice.
Because it's not going to be. I mean, these places are, the teams you're competing against on the field have large land grant universities or are state schools that have been in a power conference for half of a century or more.
Right.
Like, we're never going to catch up. But you can at least, get a little closer. Like, it's just not from that standpoint. We're never going to catch up. How are you going to catch up to places like Ohio State and Alabama where football's been important?
They're 100 years behind.
Right.
100 years behind.
So don't think of it as catching up. Think of it as just having something that is similar.
Thinking of it as getting drafted. Like you're getting your chance to go play in the big leagues. You just got to prove you belong. You've been playing in the minors. Call a spade, especially in the football world. You've been playing in the minors for a long time.
Yeah.
And now's your chance to go play in the big leagues. Don't screw it up. Get it right. What else you got, Dave? Football related. Yeah, football recruiting's kind of in a lull right now.
Looks like the conference schedule with dates will be announced tomorrow afternoon.
Okay.
And it also looks like it will just be a reversal of this year.
Yeah. They threw the towel in on creativity.
Which for UC turns out to be pretty good.
Except for if you have season tickets.
I just mean for the team.
Yeah, I know. not a lot of marquee home battles. But
we're in a dog shit conference. What do people expect?
Yeah, exactly.
At
Arkansas, Indiana here.
Miami at Paul Brown.
Yeah, Miami and Paul Brown. Who's the FCS?
I think Kennesaw State.
Okay.
And then a flip-flop of this year, which you go to SMU, you go to UCF, but your home games are on the easier. Like, I think it's better.
All very winnable.
Right. It's better on the standpoint of having to break in a lot of new, a good amount of new in some areas.
Yeah.
You don't want your harder games at home because you're probably going to, have a struggle or two on the road as is.
Right.
So you don't want to. You'd rather just know that you're going to get some wins because you're at home.
Well, we'll have that to discuss going forward.
Other than that, combines in 2 weeks. So there'll be plenty of UC stuff surrounding that. But, other than that, there's, we're kind of in that quiet football period.
Yeah, I think everybody's on vacation.
Yeah.
Because you're in one of those dead period windows, which this is why those dead period windows exist, is so that coaches can get a vacation in. And then once you come back, as soon as you come back, it's spring football, it's recruiting. You're right in the mix of getting started on that 2023 class, or at least what used to be started on the next class. They've already got a heck of a head start from where things used to be. But yeah, it'll be interesting once everything kicks back up. But right now it's kind of in that in that slow period. So thank you, Luke Fickell, for telling Justin about your extension so that we had something to talk about football-wise this week on the podcast. Much appreciated.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, timestamp that football, Aaron. Timestamp, y'all. And let's get to Dave Does Los Angeles.
Where do you want to start?
I don't know. How was the trip out there? How was the Atlanta airport? How were the flights? Was everything smooth?
Well, let's see. Let's start with the flight from, was it Cincinnati to Atlanta or Atlanta to LA? One of those flights, we landed so hard I thought the bottom was going to drop out of the plane. And then the pilot slammed the brakes on so hard it was like, you know, you're peeling out for a mile.
Did you slam your forehead into the back seat in front, or the chair in
Practically.
front of you?
Apparently, he got on the PA after. He was like, "Sorry for the landing. I reverted back to my Air Force or something days when he was landing on aircraft carriers."
He was trying to land in like 30 yards,
Yeah,
so that he didn't go into the ocean.
But no, LA was a lot of fun, but the traffic is just insane. Like,
yeah, it's a monster.
I couldn't do it. Like, it's not my thing, you know.
How much were you driving?
We had to Uber around a decent amount.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you bounced around a lot though, right? Like you went to the Viper Room.
yeah, we went out to dinners Friday night, Saturday night, went to the big tailgate on Saturday. None of these places are that far from each other. It just takes forever to get there.
Yeah. I mean, it's all everything's like within 5 miles of each other.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not as big. Like New York is massive, right?
Like LAX to where we were stayed up by Universal.
Okay.
It's like 25 miles. Took us an hour and 10 minutes to get there.
25 miles in LA is like 70 miles.
Yeah. So, but it was just, it didn't matter what time of night, what time of day, nothing.
You know the answer to that? Live by the beach, and you never go. Like we never went with LA traffic. Pretty much why I left. I had the opposite experience, Brian. We lived in Hermosa, and we very rarely left like Hermosa, Manhattan, Redondo.
Well, yeah, I feel like
didn't go anywhere.
If you just find the spot and you just kind of like stick in your little bubble.
That's exactly what we did. I worked in Torrance, which was basically you just leave Hermosa, you go over the hill, and you were in Torrance. And that was really like, I didn't go like anywhere else because the first time you hit the 405, and it can be 3 o'clock in the morning. The first time you hit the 405, you're like, I never want to do this ever again.
Yeah.
Ever again. It's a nightmare.
But went to did the steak place.
How was the steak?
I'll say this for our Cincinnati people and our Dayton area people, we are incredibly spoiled to have Jeff Ruby's and his restaurants and the Pine Club up in Dayton. Because this place,
Walt's Hitching Post.
It was Walt's Hitching Post also. Like, this place was good. It was fine. It wasn't anywhere near those places. And this,
it was Texas Roadhouse.
No, I'm not. I'm
not
going that far. But that was Friday night. We did the Bengals tailgate. Saturday, that was pretty cool. We had to leave to go to dinner Saturday before Coolio showed up and performed.
Gosh, really upset you missed that one.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. My chicken parm was much, much better than than Coolio's performance. I know that much.
Chicken parm, you taste so
That was the
good.
best. That was the best meal I had the whole time. We were out there. Chicken parm and some pasta. But I mean, it was much. I mean, there was a heat advisory on.
It was hot, right?
It was much warmer. I mean, it was nice and it was warm, but it was much warmer than even the normal. We did get lucky as all get out after the game. After we left the game, we got an Uber, in the Uber on the freeway in less than like 25 minutes.
Impressive.
It was, we just got lucky that the Uber that grabbed our fare was like a block away from where we were standing. So I called the guy and I was like, "Don't move, we'll come to you."
Stay right there.
Yeah, but it was good. Let's see. The SoFi Stadium is pretty cool. It is a lot of wasted money.
Meaning,
like, do you need like a huge lake in front of it on one side? Do you need like gardens and ferns and all these things inside? But like when you go to the bathroom, nowhere to see the game as you go to the bathroom. There's no, outside of like in the bars and concession stands, there's no TVs.
That's weird.
So you can't, like, from where we were in the 400 level behind the Bengals end zone. So you walk to the one around the side to go to the bathroom, and it's a decent little walk. There's no TVs anywhere, and you can't see the game. Like, you can't even see the massive scoreboard. You can't hear anything. You go to the bathroom, there's no radio or sound in the bathroom. So it's
you
kind
don't
of
even get
like
the radio in the bathroom?
No. Like, if you went to the bathroom, you had no idea what was going on in the game.
That seems like some bullshit.
Yeah. It's just kind of sterile. And maybe they took some stuff down because it wasn't a home game for the Rams or the Chargers. But it was just kind of like I don't know. It was just kind of odd in that sense.
Was it as warm? Like, did the stadium provide some relief from like the how hot it was?
If you were walking around, yes, since it's open air, like there would be a breeze and stuff, and that felt good. But once you actually went to your seat, you didn't feel that. So it was pretty warm. But then once the sun was down, it was fine.
Right. How ready were you to just get absolutely destroyed celebrating a Bengals championship?
Very, very ready. But
at what point? Like, so I'm guessing it wasn't the T. Higgins touchdown, but the interception that happened right afterwards. Dave was like, "This is a wrap."
No, I wasn't. I felt pretty good. I was feeling real good as Sean McVay kept trying to run the Bengals into a Super Bowl win.
Yeah.
And then someone
2.2 yards at a time.
Someone else on the last possession decided to call the plays. Hope that guy, has bad things happen to him.
Hey, Sean, we have Cooper Kupp.
But no.
And they're putting Eli Apple on him.
I mean, we should
look at that.
There was just a lot that, and it's not even the offensive line thing. Obviously, that gets most of the attention, but like for a long time, the playoffs and even before that, they'd been bad in the red zone.
Yeah.
You get to the 11-yard line, field goal. You get an interception that starts, inside the opponent.
The only red zone touchdown was the Mixon pass,
yeah.
right?
I mean, you get the interception. I mean, you get that interception, you score a touchdown on that drive, the game is over.
Yeah.
But you get in a field goal again. red zone issues had been a problem the whole second half of the year. They stayed that way. So, short yardage issues, regardless of who the running back has been a problem all year.
Grumble.
They stayed that way. So
you win the Super Bowl with your best players, not Samaje Perine.
I agree. I mean,
you paid Joe Mixon more money. Here's the thing I didn't like today, and he admitted it. Like, I guess he, more than people realize, he admitted a massive mistake.
Oh yeah, he was honest. I mean, that's what you want, right?
Because they threw an incomplete pass on second down. You had plenty of time to get Joe Mixon on the field. And he basically said he waited too long to get the play in, and they would have had to have called a timeout. Okay, call the timeout.
Well, that would have been your last one.
You needed 7 yards, Dave.
No, I'm just
first down.
I understand. I don't like running the ball there.
I don't necessarily either, but Aaron Donald was eating people alive at that point.
Just throw the ball out to Jamar Chase on a two-step drop.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna rehash stuff like that. I mean, we saw it. We know, there's going to be calls that you wish you had back.
I still said my biggest complaint was it wasn't that I didn't like Perine taking the 3rd and 1 instead of Mixon. My biggest was OBJ's gone. Why is Awuzie not on Cooper Kupp?
No, sure.
Why is Eli Apple on Cooper Kupp? They should not be able to scheme you out of that. You should be telling Awuzie, wherever 10 goes, you go. Because I watched Matthew Stafford throw passes to the rest of those guys, and it was fucking ugly.
Well, don't you just double him regardless of who the corner is?
But you also do it with your best corner.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, you could say on the Perine run play, you had a decent amount of success actually going heavy, and running power, where instead they ran shotgun, that type of run play where Perine's, for whatever you want to say about him, I'd rather him.
I don't think this wasn't a referendum on Perine sucks.
No, it was a referendum on
better than him.
The play. Too.
Yeah.
If you're late putting Mixon in, I didn't like the play either.
Right.
But whatever.
Run the ball at Aaron Donald on 3rd and 1.
Yeah, I mean,
with the Super Bowl on the line.
There's throws that I know Burrow's gonna gnaw at him or not throws. But I guess my overall reaction is just, it's not like I wasn't mad. I was just damn, we
should have won the Super Bowl.
They really should have won the Super Bowl. I don't know if you saw it or if any of our listeners did that follow Paul Dehner. Not counting drives that ended in a kneel down, whether it was the end of the half or the end of the game. The Bengals did not go scoreless on 5 straight drives at any point this season.
Yep.
Until the final 5 drives of the game.
Yeah.
It's just you got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. In that game, that's when that happens. Not in some game in week 6.
And also, the Rams leaned on their stars.
Sure.
That's why you get a bunch of stars. So that when you're in the Super Bowl and the game's on the line, your stars are the ones that the game is in their hands.
Yeah.
And the Bengals didn't do that, and that was frustrating.
No. I mean,
How many throws to Chase over those final 5 drives, whatever? Like, find a way to get the ball in his hands.
I mean, him and T torched Jalen Ramsey.
Torched. Like the worst game of Jalen Ramsey's career.
So, but that's the way it goes sometimes. I mean, I know obviously a lot of people are, talking about the calls at the end, and the one on Logan, excuse me. The one on Logan Wilson was a bad call, but I mean,
terrible.
My thing is, I really only have 2 takeaways from the officiating. One is, I just didn't like that you called it one way for 58 minutes, basically, and then
changed it up, yeah.
Which everybody in the NFL. I mean, I was listening to something where they were talking about a podcast Scott Pioli was on, who used to be the general manager of the Patriots when they had Brady and Belichick,
right.
and that Belichick would basically tell the players in the conference championship game and the Super Bowl, be more physical. They aren't going to call penalties.
Right.
Nobody wants to watch the Super Bowl where the refs throw a flag on every other play.
Right.
And did they miss a clear penalty on T. Higgins? Absolutely. Like, I saw it from my seat. But like, if you're gonna let that go, and I'm sure there was one holding penalty the entire game. How does the Bengals dog shit offensive line not
hold
called for one
right.
holding penalty? So there's one holding penalty the entire game, and then all of a sudden they call the penalty on Logan Wilson, which makes me wonder, like, if that's a penalty on Logan Wilson, it is literally impossible for linebackers,
guard somebody, right?
Linebackers to cover tight ends or wide receivers if that's going to be a penalty.
Yeah.
And my second takeaway from the officiating is that it's inexcusable to miss a false start when it's on 4 players on your offensive line, when the line judge has one fucking job to do. That's it on that play before the ball is snapped. That's his only job. And you miss both tackles move, then both guards move before the ball is snapped.
And that's the Logan Wilson play.
If it's 3rd and 13 with 1:47, 3rd and goal from the 13 with 1:47 left, what happens?
They throw it to Cooper Kupp on Eli Apple and get a touchdown.
Well, I mean, maybe, but you're in totally different coverage.
I know. I'm kidding.
I'm just like, I mean, all the other stuff is subjective, but like, that's your only job. Like, watch to see if someone moves before the ball snapped, and you couldn't even do that correctly at the end of the game.
How was the halftime show live?
It was fine.
It's fine. You're not a big 90s hip hop guy.
I personally, if it would have just been Eminem, Snoop, and Dre, it would have been great.
You don't like? I'm a Mary J guy. I like Mary J.
Oh, so you were fine with? You would have been like, no, it's cool. Like, I mean, Eminem gave up the song so Full Dollar could come in and hang from the rafters.
He's put on some weight.
No, I enjoyed all of it, and as soon as it was over, I was like, that's cool. Let's go win a fucking Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's the thing. Your brain was in a different place.
Yeah.
You were not Evan McPherson.
No.
Who appeared to be having the time of his life.
Hey,
at the time.
I don't blame him either. I mean,
right? What's he got? Like, what adjustments does he have to make?
Yeah.
Kick the ball.
It was. I thought it was cool. The way that the lights show worked was cool. Like, the whole thing was cool. But I'm there to watch the Super Bowl, man. It could have been.
You waited your whole life for this.
It could have been anybody out there at halftime. I'd have felt the same way.
Oh shit!
But it's. Yeah, it was a very, very, very cool experience that I hope we get to do again. But you just never know. I mean,
no.
I think they will. I think Burrow's a different dude.
Yeah.
But you just never know. I mean, so many things have to go your way, and being good helps them go your way.
Right.
But
you have injuries and,
sure.
What happens in the rest of the division kind of went their way this year.
I mean, if Jamar Chase just has a normal rookie year,
Right.
that's really good.
Yeah.
Do you go
1,100 yards?
Like if he has
8 touchdowns,
right? Like, I mean, just go back to the Chiefs game that they won at home to clinch the division. He had 266 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Right.
They has 175 yards and 2 touchdowns, which would be insane. And
they don't
lose.
win that game. Yeah.
And then they have to go to Cleveland the next week, and they have to win just to make the playoffs.
Right.
And they don't win, then they don't even make the playoffs. Like, so many things. Like, it's just not so easy to be like, oh yeah, we're young and Burrow's great, and like, I think they'll be back. Like, I think they're gonna be in the mix for a long time.
They also did the one thing in the NFL that matters probably more than any other league. They got hot at the right time.
Got hot at the right time, and they know that
there's no magic formula to getting hot at the right time.
No, the Ravens won a Super Bowl with fucking Joe Flacco.
Yeah,
because he had the hottest, best 3-4 games of his life.
Right.
At the exact right time. But I think they've got the quarterback, and I'm not worried. Like, they're clearly capable of addressing the offensive line. It's not that they haven't thrown resources at it.
Right.
They've just been bad at picking those resources. So, like,
really bad.
It's not like they've neglected it. It's, are they able to?
I think you're with me. This is not something to address through the draft.
It's something to address through both.
Yeah, but it's not something to only address through the draft.
No, you're not getting appreciably better just going like, oh yeah, we're going to get a guy at 31 and plug him in at whatever, left guard, and that's going to fix the line. No. But when you go to a Super Bowl and you've got the fan base totally re-energized, it now puts the pressure on you to keep it going.
Yep.
Because, fans can be fickle. Like, yeah, you went to the Super Bowl, and then we watched you do nothing and trot out Hakeem Adeniji and Isaiah Prince in 2022. Like, you think we're dumb fucks that didn't watch the playoffs and the Super Bowl. So they've put the pressure on themselves to fix it.
Right.
It's not the fans like it was last year or the year before, and the offensive line's been, fairly poor for way longer than just this year.
Yeah.
But when you now set the bar at Super Bowl,
I will say, hey, Carson Palmer, go fuck yourself.
Don't even start with that dude.
Go fuck yourself, man. Like, go look at what he had. He had a monster offensive line. He had weapons everywhere.
They also signed him to a contract extension when it still had 2 years left on it and made him the highest paid quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
At the
For
time,
that guy to be running around acting like they didn't do everything they could.
5-year extension for $97 million at the time. That shows you how much quarterback salaries have changed since then. But
that dude, I just wish one of the people interviewing him would be like, hey, are you saying they didn't support you with Chad Johnson and TJ Hushmanzada and Chris Henry and Rudy Johnson and Andrew Whitworth and Bobby Williams, Willie Anderson,
Eric Steinbach was the second round pick the year he was drafted. Kelly Washington was the third round pick. They went all offense the year they drafted him.
The Squirrel.
He's He's just bitter, man.
I know he is, but okay, he's bitter. That's fine. I want somebody to be like Carson. They supported you at an elite level offensively. Did they have some knuckleheads on defense? Like, did they take gambles on that side? Yeah, you know why they had to take gambles on that side of the ball? Because they spent all their money on offense so that you could have what you wanted.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
And it's a little bit different now, too, in the sense of, like, I'm interested to see, now that they are active and you would expect them to be again. I don't know why you wouldn't, but like
all of their agency's a thing that they're
their drafts up until the last 2 years had to hit so much because they didn't ever do anything in free agency.
Right.
So like all of the misses, the Jake Fishers and the Cedric Roboihis those misses were heightened because there wasn't supplementation through free agency.
Right. Right.
So while they're drafting in a place that they've never obviously, drafted before, and even when they would make the playoffs and they seem to always have like the 21st pick, they'd lose the first playoff game and get the 21st pick like 3 years in a row.
Right. They weren't great with that.
They weren't great with it, but it was heightened because it was like, this is the only option.
Right.
They went into the draft like Billy Price pick. Like they would go into the draft pigeonholed because they did nothing in free agency. So they had to pray to God that somebody at that position that they needed would be available. And sometimes that player wouldn't be available and they'd still pick a player. Like, to me, honestly, if we're looking at truly best player at a position that I think they need, my first round pick would be a defensive tackle. To put next to a pass rushing defensive tackle to put next to Reeder, because the value of the guys that, again, we're several months away. That guy is going to make way bigger impact than some rookie tackle or guard.
Is Ogunjobi out?
I mean, he was on a 1 year deal and he got hurt.
Okay.
So could they bring him back on those are the type of things that it's like. But he was fine. But you need a next building block piece. You need the next Jeffrey Simmons, the next Chris Jones, the next, not Aaron Donald. I'm not going to say next Aaron Donald. That's ridiculous.
Maybe I'm crazy. I go after another guy that can get after the quarterback, because that was the thing in the second half of the Super Bowl.
That's what I mean. It's
even for either that position or another rush end, like a situational. Like Sam Hubbard's great.
Well, they'll have their third round pick next year.
But he's coming off a pretty serious injury.
Sure,
right?
But he should be fine.
Okay.
But the only problem there is where are the snaps? If he's fine and Hubbard and Hendrickson are fine, like, to take someone that high, like, who are they bumping out? Because
so I get why you're saying, like, get an inside guy.
Because on third downs, Hubbard will kick inside and Osai will play the other end with Hendrickson at the other side. So
they got to get to the quarterback. Like, they've got to.
That's why I have defensive tackle.
Okay.
Like a three technique, like a Geno.
Watching Stafford stood back there and just he didn't have anybody to throw to. Well, he still had an hour to throw.
At the end of the game, that like the three defensive linemen were like Cam Sample, Josh Tupou, and Khalid Kareem.
Right. Not good enough.
No. But it's fun to have those conversations when you're coming off a Super Bowl, not coming off a 6 and whatever.
Absolutely. Well, you're going to be messed up because normally by this point you're a month into your draft prep.
Yeah, I don't know.
And
I don't know a lot about the draft yet, but
You're in kind of the same situation as the Bengals right now. They got
Right.
like ground to make up.
They can maybe use my help.
Give him a call. Hit him
Yeah.
up on Twitter at David Simone.
They can't afford me.
All right. I don't have anything else for today. I saw one of the game balls today.
You saw one of what?
The game balls
What game balls?
that they hand out around town.
Oh, like you were at a place that got one?
Yeah.
Where were you?
Delwood. You ever been to Delwood?
Is that part of Cincinnati? Like
It's in
Kenwood?
Mount Lookout.
Or is it a place?
The restaurant is called Delwood.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I think it's Delwood. It's in Mount Lookout. So these winter hours are killing me. So we didn't get to really do anything for Valentine's Day because I was busy. So today, and Kelly has treatment tomorrow for, like I said, for the clinical trials. Her second treatment's tomorrow. So she probably, you deal with nausea and headache and diarrhea and all the little common side effects. So she probably won't eat a bunch tomorrow. She probably won't eat a bunch on Friday. So our plan is Wednesday, we'll go out and get something nice to eat. So last night we were talking about it and we decided we were going to go to the Turf Club. And I looked it up and it said they were open 11 to 11.
Like Terry's?
Well, it's not Terry. Yeah,
right.
It's the same place. It's just called the Turf Club now. So we get there, and it turns out their winter hours, they're not open for lunch until Friday and Saturday. It's like, well, shit. So we're close to Zips. Let's go to Zips. Lunch hours only on Friday and Saturday. You have got to be kidding. All of Mount Lookout, there was one spot open.
How did it go?
It was the burgers were really good. They had kind of like an In-N-Out sauce on them. They were just a basic double cheeseburger, really good bun, 2 really good patties, good sauce. They had some crinkle fries. They had kind of a aioli that went with it. We also got some ketchup. So it was really good stuff. And I looked up and there was one of the game balls. And so Zach lives in Mount Lookout somewhere. And I guess that's one of his family spots.
Yeah, he basically moved right back to the same area he lived when
he was here for UC.
Yeah.
So I asked the bartender and she said they see Zach some more in the summer, obviously. But his wife gets carry out there a lot, so she's in all the time, and that's one of their go-to spots. So it was one of the spots that I think it was after the Titans game that they brought. Was the 22nd the Titans
of January?
Yeah, or was that the Raiders? Was that the first round?
The whole last month or so has been a blur.
So 22nd, 29th. It would have been the Titans. So they had one of the game balls from the Titans. So I got to see that. That was pretty cool. I would recommend their burgers. The burger was very, very good. And then one of their other specialty is their spicy chicken sandwich that the people next to us had that looked pretty good. So Delwood is on the list of places we like. But we didn't, sometimes that's how the universe works, right?
That's
you
right.
think you're going to go to places you've been before and you're forced to go to something you don't like. And you're like, oh, actually, I dug this vibe a little bit better. And they had, I don't know if you're probably not familiar with this. Have you ever heard of cachaça?
No.
So it's the number one liquor in Brazil.
Okay.
And it is made exactly like tequila, but instead of with agave, it's made out of sugarcane.
Okay.
So you take a lime, like half a lime, you quarter it, you put 2 sugar cubes in, and you muddle the sugar cubes and the lime together, and then you pour in the cachaça and then some ice, mix it up. And Kelly had one of those, which we used to drink all the time back in our 20s. And that was a delight. So it was an enjoyable lunch today. I guess the mom of the owner is from Peru.
Okay.
And there's some Peruvian yuca fries.
Yeah.
And a couple different things that are, of that culture that they serve there as well. And I say it wrong. I always thought it was Cachaca is the name of the drink. But when the bartender said it, I was like, it's not how I learned how to say it. But it's made with cachaça. And it's really good stuff. That's about all I got. Oh, I want to tell you what they did to me last night, Dave.
What's that?
These two women of mine. I was going to the game. I'm like, what are you guys going to do for dinner? And she's like, oh, we're just going to eat here. Like, whatever, have some leftovers or have whatever's in the fridge. And I was like, all right, well, maybe we'll go out tomorrow. And I come back home. They went to Texas Roadhouse. Kelly had a filet. Kelsey had. I was like, what? You think Dad doesn't like steak? Like, y'all, you just arbitrarily, you two decide while Dad's away, we're gonna go get some steak. Unbelievable. I bet that's what your wife. Well, yours isn't old enough yet to have expensive tastes, and he's a boy, so he probably won't. But when I go to games, my family tells me they're going to eat leftovers, and instead they go out for steak dinners.
Well, if he eats anything like me, he will. But right now we're on a pretty.
Yeah, he doesn't know yet.
Right.
He doesn't know yet. Kelsey knows. So, and apparently, normally when these things happen, they're Kelsey's idea, and Kelly just gives in. And Kelsey was like, "I want Cane's," and your mom was like, "How about we go get some filet mignon?"
Yeah. I'm sure that's how it went.
No, that's exactly how it went. They've both admitted to it now that
Oh wait, Kelly said, "Let's go get filet mignon."
Kelsey said, "I want Cane's," and Kelly said, "How about we go get some filet mignon instead?"
I would have thought it would be the other way around.
Yeah, it usually is. But last night it was my wife that betrayed me, not the kid. They could have went and got like an $8 order from Cane's, and instead they went out.
Now Saturday you're gonna suggest something. They're gonna go, no, let's just get Chipotle.
Yeah, let's just get. You want to get some Burger King?
No one ever wants to get some Burger King.
All right, let's get out of here. I've been telling stories for too long. I should have saved these for Friday.
Yeah, you want to quickly before we get out of here. You want to.
Yeah, it's a subathon Friday.
Fill everybody in on what this grandiose plan of yours is.
YouTube, we're going to be live from noon to midnight. Hypothetically. We'll see how it goes.
That's the plan.
That's the plan. We're working on scheduling guests. Aaron and I have been kind of thumbing through things.
For my loyalists out there, if you're up and having a beverage, you might get a special treat that only comes a couple times a year.
Late.
When the sun goes
after the sun goes down.
I'm gonna do my best to be a little bit more sober than I was last night. So,
Aaron was bad last night, Dave.
That's what he said.
I checked in on the PTP, and he was like, "I was."
What were you celebrating?
I was trying to not watch that game.
They had $2 fat tires apparently at Mia's.
That it was Tuesday. You were celebrating Tuesday.
Yeah.
I think Ed said you weren't that bad at the start of the show. It just at some point it hit you like a
ton of bricks.
It wasn't good.
And then it was time to go.
What do you have to say about tomorrow, Aaron?
We got a lot of guests lined up. We're still getting
Friday.
Friday. We got a lot of guests. We got some guys still trying to figure out the time schedules, but it should be a lot of fun. I mean, 12 hours, you and I talking UC and whatever else. I mean, imagine there's going to be some shenanigans dealing with you for that long. Yeah, there's going.
My brain just imagine trying to keep me on track for 12 hours.
I didn't marry you. That's not my job, but on Friday it is. So we'll see.
We do have a new tentative. Yes, we're still ironing out time. The GOAT, Dan Horde.
There we go.
Has
We also
agreed to come on.
We also added Mo Egger since we last updated everybody.
Yeah, Mo is coming on. So
another All-American from the basketball team.
Working on it. And we'll see. I've got a couple other feelers out. I'm waiting to hear back from some people. Got some things to shore up tomorrow. It's going to be fun. Like it at work, if you're hanging out at work all day, that'll be a great, turn us on at lunch and keep us on throughout the afternoon. I've been working so far, I've been working hard to fill up the daytime hours.
Yeah.
Because I think those are the most difficult.
I agree.
The nighttime stuff, I think, is going to take care of itself.
I think it'll be fun.
And then we just have to wait for the guy in Mexico to tell us when
What's
is
up?
good for him.
Right.
So that's when it'll all start to fall in place is when the boss man says, this is when I can grace you with my presence for 20 minutes from Mexico.
We'll also be doing giveaways every hour. We have 12 giveaways from 513 shirts that we'll be doing throughout the day. You have to be on the channel, subscribed, liked, and commenting. We're giving away 4 of these bad boys, the state of Cincinnati flags, and 8 Bearcat articles of clothing of your choice.
The hats, the hoodies, you name it. You go into the Bearcat Journal section at 513 shirts, and you get to pick whatever you want.
And I'll have an app on my phone that we can enter the contestants in, so you can see that I'm not cheating or anything like that. So,
all right,
you're welcome. Cool. Get out of here,
Dave. Thanks as always. Appreciate the recap of your trip to LA, and we'll be back in a week. Next week will be a little. We're gonna have to stretch it a little bit next week, but the following week we'll get to preview spring football. So, if football season just starts all over again,
might have to find a guest for next week.
Yeah, well, we're gonna probably use up all our guests.
No, I got one.
If you got one,
that we've discussed in the past.
Okay.
Recently.
I mean, even if we haven't, I don't care. If we're gonna need a guest next week. So, all right, that wraps it up. Thanks to Dave. Thanks to Aaron. We'll see you next time. It's the BCJ podcast, brought to you by the Holy Grail, right here on BearcatJournal.com.